Well, hello model car fans. Welcome to the Muscle Car Modeler. My name is Revell, and here we're going to take a look at these Revell Monogram 71 Hemi Cuda kits. Do a comparison of what's different in some of the different versions and whatnot. Just go over them. Some of it's pretty obvious, but it's a kit that I've always enjoyed. Going back to, like, this is my original build, but it has been rebuilt, and some of my older builds and more recent, but in different configurations as well. But we'll go over these kits, and I'm going to call it it's pretty much a monogram kit, although the original box art pretty much was monogram. Almost all of them since then have Revell or Revell Monogram on them. But there's pretty much three main groupings, basically. You've got the original all-stock 71 Hemi Cuda coupe, and then you've got the Street Machine, and then eventually the 71 Cuda Convertible kit came out, the Nash Bridges kit, which obviously I was craving for. And so when it came out, I grabbed a few, and then as these kits turn up at a good price, I end up picking them up. So, I mean, all of those back there are unbuilt, and I've got plans for some of them. Some of them are spares, but so I've got 3 of the convertibles here that are not built and 3 more that are built. And then, you know, a couple of the hard tops as well. So 3 hard tops. And I've kind of mixed and matched them a little bit as well. So if you've been following my channel, I had a long time ago built an AAR Cuda using the chassis from this as well. So with the remains of that, ended up, this kit was actually built. So it's kind of funny how some of this stuff went, but I've shared some of those individual stories. But now I got your attention with this. We'll go over these, and then, you know, and I know I'm going to get asked, I always get asked this at the very end, how does this kit going to compare against the Johan kit or the MPC kit? I've got some of those, so at the end I'll kind of compare the bodies and whatnot and do some brief notes on that. But mainly I'm going to focus on these kits as they're much more readily available and how that goes. So stay tuned. All right, we'll get started reviewing. We'll go with this kit first, as it's some of the latest versions of the original tool, which this actually goes back. It was monogram labeled, and the original orange box art car came out in, I believe, 1982, and then the Street Machine, and then another version of this. But the first 3 that I know of had monogram boxes on them. But all the later ones that I have the Revell name on them, as they had merged shortly after. But this is kind of an example of what it can look like when it's built. And I did this one a long time ago, and it was one of my earlier ones, so I had completely rebuilt it, I believe. Maybe not so much when I look at the underside. I think I redid the body, because some of my brush strokes and some of my flaws, but I can see that a lot of this has been kind of brush painted. So pretty much I think I left a lot of the interior and chassis alone, but has a really nice 1/24 scale Hemi engine with some nice details. It's not perfect, but we'll get into some of that stuff. But you know, I enjoyed building these, and that's, you know, that's the main thing. You just got to enjoy it. Anyways, we'll jump right into this one, since this is the 1998 issue. So this one's pretty old, so 25 years old, I guess, now. But I think it had one of the neatest boxes, because it actually has a real car on it versus some of the other ones. But it just looks more lavender, though, than actually plum crazy. Whether or not this box is faded that much, I don't know. Skill level 2, 1/24 scale, 71 Hemi Cuda. You got the box car on the side. Then on the engine, the rear, Goodyear on it. And then this. Now this is the scissor box, or side opening box that crumbles. This one is, you know, pretty much mint and unbuilt. And this one's the same way. Just kind of ran into it and picked it up. This is the 2020 issue from Revell of Germany. So this is much more recent, of course, past 5 years. Same 1/24 scale, but it's skill level 4, but that's only because the skill levels changed. The kit itself did not change. Box art with the car. There's a ton of them with this particular photo. So they've been using this photo for a long time. Dr. Hemi, of course. There's pictures of the build-up, licensed by Chrysler, of course, and you can see the Hemi with the chrome valve covers and stuff. So, and they completely blacked out the engine compartment, which really wouldn't be correct. But anyways, a couple other little differences here and there. My build over here has these white decals here. Those are from Fred Cady from a long time ago. I think I still have some anyway, but they don't come with white billboards. So that's about the only deviation on this particular build. I don't believe I have any other modifications, just right out of the box. But one of the things that are different between the two kits, decals can be, this one being the 2020, the decals are pretty much the same, just printed more recently, even though the decal sheet says 2005. But it's the same artwork, the same decals here, which, they've had that a really long time. So for comparison, we'll dig out the decals of this one as well. There is one other difference between the two. See, here's the decal sheet from this one. That's marked 1991, but same billboards, Dr. Hemi Plymouth. It's the same. But I think one of them doesn't work real well with setting solution. One of the other differences here is the older kits have these Goodyear tires, the GT radials. Those have vanished and now have smooth sidewalls. So I'll show you those in this other kit. Where'd they go? Here they are. But yeah, here's pretty much the same tires, the same tread, but now they're blank sidewalls. But they didn't give you any decals in this one. And a lot of times the newer kits, they tend to put better decals in them. This one's kind of one of the exceptions here that I know of. I don't know if they've reissued this again since then, but here's the instruction sheet, of course. Pretty simple build. Again, the tooling is all the way back from the early 80s, late 70s, early 80s when they were developing it. But still, in my opinion, a good kit. Builds up nicely. It's got its issues, little details that can be added or whatnot. But here we go. So you kind of see the instruction sheet here, the spoiler, the shaker, all that stuff. But all right, since these are sealed though, we'll start with let's do this one. Here's a spare kit. I got extras. So just kind of. So there's the glass and the 4 headlights, which have these pegs to go into the chrome. Kind of wish they didn't. And they're, a tad small. But once you build it, not too bad. Then it's got the chrome piece of the cowl right here, but no wipers. But that's part of the windshield. And I believe it's a little bit visible. You can see it on this one. But again, no wipers. But you can see it, so if you foil it or paint it, but if you don't, you'll see that part of the dash because it is clear. Let's put this back. But so there's that, and of course this glass is nice shape. Should be, it's a pretty new kit. Here's a chrome tree. So here we are. All right, so we've got the rally wheels here with the 70 and 71 caps, which I like. The chrome Hemi valve covers. Really shouldn't be chrome. They should be a black wrinkle for a factory stock appearance. The front turn signals and the valance. The taillights, which are chrome. Would be kind of nice if those were not, but they are. You can paint the outer ones kind of white and the inner ones red. The chrome alternator. Pistol grip shifter, one of my favorites. There was a couple of those where I glued them in backwards, but I fixed it. The mirrors, the inside rearview mirror, the carburetors, which are actually pretty decent, considering how they're a blob, but they're pretty well detailed for what they are. And then the headlight bezels that poke through, I said those, I think they're just a hair small, but not too bad. And then the front and rear bumper, the front bumper with the fog lights molded in, and then the rear bumper right there with the license plate that pokes through the back. But those come out looking pretty nice. It's a little bit simple in its construction, but builds really, really nicely. And let's open this bag up. All right, here. Not a whole lot of parts in this one as far as the parts count goes. But here's the decent body with the vents right there, the 71 vents. The front end that comes completely off. Full engine compartment. Now it's got some heater hoses here. Not really the best spot for them. There's no towers for the upper control arms where they mount. We got a washer bottle over here, battery on this side. Almost no detail on this, so it's fairly smooth and looks like it's lacking a brake booster, but I believe that's kind of in there. And then you know, the rear taillights here, Cuda molded in. You got some dimples for the spoiler, which they have you can drill them out in the bottom, and all the mounts for the glass and some of that stuff. But again, fairly simple construction. Here we've got, there's the front grille and valance all molded together. There's different ways you can paint this, whether it's a body color grille or an argent grille, body color valance. Insert here is argent on many of them. So you can paint it carefully, you can get it done. Here's the cylinder heads for the Hemi. Here's the Hemi engine with the manual transmission, back sides of them. Then here's the rear valance panel with the exhaust cutouts. Here's the dash. It's a non-rally dash, more of the standard dash. I wish they had done the rally one in this one, but they didn't. And then a nice interior bucket. Lacking a little bit in details, but you know, you have the pedal and that. It'd be nice if it had a console, but it didn't. Pretty bare bones, pretty base model as far as some of this stuff goes. And you've got this chassis with the really simple chassis. The exhaust molded in, and then the letters and made in China and all this stuff. Don't really like it when they do that like that, but that's the way they did it on this particular one. But the molded in exhaust with the mufflers and resonators. I prefer separate exhaust, but again, kind of the time frame. Upper radiator hose. Here's the two mirrors. The steering wheel, which I believe this is the tough steering wheel. The seat backs, which are starting to show some of the punch marks. The front seats. Then you got the wheel backs. These are actually part of the dash. They're extensions. Not really sure why they're really there. You got the distributor here, which, you know, very, very basic distributor. One fan belt here for the alternator. And then your radiator support here with the radiator molded in. So, you know, both sides of it. And it's detailed on both sides. I like it better when they actually print like this and they got the copyright information on this side where it's not so visible. But this one's got it all over. Earlier versions, not so much. Usually having one piece or another. But they seem to have added that in different years for different versions. So this was 2009. I'll kind of look into that one to see the 98 issue, what they did there. And then here's the rear axle, 8 3/4 rear end. Leaf springs, drive shaft, of course, all molded together. Here's the brake booster and master cylinder. It glues right on the firewall. The front suspension, torsion bars and everything. Your Hemi, these are the manifolds, they're not headers, but they're the factory exhaust manifolds and head pipes, pre-assembled. There's your front cover, no water pump. That's far from accurate there. You got your fuel pump on the one side. No power steering or anything on these pulleys or whatnot. There's your dual quad Hemi engine with the coil on it. So there's all of that. And then the rear window slots, which this one, there's a lot of flash in there, so might be fun cleaning some of that out. The shaker hood pieces. And if you want to paint this a different color or body color, you can, since it is a separate part from this, and then the grills are still black. Here's the rear wing, which that's really not a 71 wing, that's kind of a 70 wing. And also, it's a little bit small in my opinion. I like to add it to the 125th cars. Fits really nicely with that, but on the 124th here, you can see it seems just a little small. So, get an idea what it looks like on there. But I've added it to other kits because sometimes I've used it, sometimes I have not. And then, of course, the actual shaker hood. So that's all the parts in here. But let's take a quick look at the chassis in this one if we can get a glimpse of it. Let's see. Kind of want to move it without opening it. So I can see there's no writing right there and there's no writing on those areas. So let's see. Okay, cool. Just trying to see if it's on the inside here. Looks like it might be. Well, let's not fight the bag. Let's open it. So much for selling a sealed kit eventually. Not a big deal. Tend to find these really cheap without looking for them. That's why I keep picking them up. Yeah, it's all on the inside right here. And none of it on there. Which I prefer it that way. Less detailing and less work on that. So let's get all this all put back away and we'll move on to the next version. Alright guys, this is the Street Machine version. It's been issued a few times as well. I remember the original was a Monogram black car with flames on the side. I always thought that was cool. I don't have one of those. Kind of curious if anything's changed from that to this one. Again, I don't believe anything did. And this one's from 2000 right here. Let's see, yeah, 2000. And, you know, it's been reissued again since then with the different decals. So I believe this one keeps getting different decals. But here you can see the Hemi engine with the different air cleaner right there. And Hemi on the windshield, which you can see on here. And then one of the things, you got to look real closely. The wheels in the back have the holes in them, and the wheels in the front don't. So one of the things I really didn't care for on this kit was they did that in the kit as well. But it has what some people call the shark tooth hood. So it's a dual scoop regular Cuda hood. I like it. It's not exactly accurate in this particular kit when you look at the real ones or see them in person. It's also got this custom spoiler, which is pretty cool. I don't remember if there's a roll bar in there, but let's open it up and check it all out. And then here's, like I said, my build from back in the day. I believe I covered this one. Again, these decals are Fred Caddy. I changed the wheels out and also went with bigger rear tires than the tires that were in there. And I did have a little bit more fun with this one. I didn't use the Hemi. I put a 446 pack in it. So there it is. Now I swapped that out from, I used an AMT air cleaner here, which has fallen off. So there's but the 446 pack is actually the 124 scale. That's in the Superbird, the 70 Superbird, or the, what's the other one? Oh, Super B, the 69 Super B. So whichever one I took it out of, I'm not 100% sure. I keep thinking it was Superbird, but not 100% sure. But there's the whole underside built, which not much changed there. And some spacers to lift the rear suspension. So there's that build. So let's see what's in the box. Again, I believe, yeah, this is another kit that, you know, I picked up along the way. Just kind of grabbed it, haven't opened it. There's the tires again with the lettering. So this is early enough to have the lettering. Glass, which not bagged. A lot of the older ones, they don't bag the glass and the chrome on the tires, which kind of wish this one did because the air cleaner got damaged. Tire was sitting on it. But here's those rear wheels with the holes in them and the front wheels without. I believe they're completely interchangeable though. So if you got two sets of these vehicles or kits and you wanted some of those, they will interchange. So, because the tires are exactly the same, wheel backs are exactly the same. There's a front bumper with fog lights, rear bumper, Hemi valve covers again. Then the alternator and all the rest of the chrome. None of this has changed other than just this top row. So that's all it's really changed on the chrome tree here. Nothing on there. Here's the instructions. Oh, and the decals. I've got to show you the decals, especially when they did it. But this one actually has Hemi in white, Hemi and Cuda, and then the funky stripe decals there. So I had forgotten it actually had the white ones in here. So much for previewing my kits. Instructions really no different. Just putting the Hemi together, all of this. Showing the spacers there for the suspension. Traction bars right there as far as deviations go. Rest of the interior, nothing different there. There's the roll cage, roll bar. So that's cool, which I didn't use that in my build. And the rest of it's pretty much straightforward. So between the different versions, really not a whole lot of different custom parts. There's the oval air cleaner and the hood. But those are about the only parts that are really different in this kit. But the other stock parts are not included. So let's get this one opened. All right. Yep, same exact body. Even got the parts there for the spoiler. We'll see if that spoiler's in here. I don't remember. There's the non-rally dash, balance panel, Hemi engine. There's the interior tub. Nothing changed on there. Still says 1982 in the bottom of the interior tub. Grill, nothing changed on any of that stuff, which I remember that way. Still has the stock manifolds, the brake booster, so fan, intake, rear axle. So all this stuff is exactly the same. Here's that chassis with the markings from 1982. Nothing on this side, which is the preferred for me. Stock steering wheel, mirrors, wheel backs, distributor, fan. I got a little bit of tire melt on that fan shroud. And then the dash pieces. And here's the new tree. Okay, so the stock rear spoiler isn't in here, but here's the custom rear spoiler. Roll bars, the down bars. There's the traction bars. Did I use those on this? Nope. Okay. So traction bars. There's that hood. Okay. When I talk about the hood being a little bit inaccurate, it's flat right here, when on the real one, this comes up and then this bulge kind of goes all the way across. So there's a little bit of a hump in the middle here. It's hard to see though. But, and then the rest of the roll bar and then the uprights to stand it up. So there's all that one, which is some of the things I liked about it, because that's what I really want to do, is I wanted to build one with this hood. But since it had the Hemi in it, I decided I was going to switch it to a 446 pack and kind of do it as a day 2 446 pack. And I believe these mag wheels, I took those out of the GTX, like a 70 GTX kit. There were extras from that. So that's where they came from. Fairly sure. I built this one a long time ago. But we'll package this one up, move on to the next variant. All right, here's a third variant here, which commonly referred to as the Nash Bridges 71 Cuda Convertible. But it's kind of funny that both of these boxes are literally the same date, 2003. I'm not really sure which came out first. Scale has this one marked down as the first version, and then this one the same version. But there's literally no difference between the two kits, other than the fact that this one says Nash Bridges and this one does not. So I don't know what happened there with the licensing or whatnot. And at the same time, the car itself, for some reason, was issued in 2003, and then there's a third box art right here that was issued in 2005. And for some reason, it hasn't been reissued since, which is kind of sad. It's a great kit, but I've seen some crazy prices for it, especially for the Nash Bridges one, just because of the name. But here's my build from back then, but I didn't copy it just exactly like Nash Bridges. I wanted to kind of make it my own. So, but I didn't really do anything to deviate from it. You know, use the wing and put the billboards on it, just really making it like a full dress Hemi Cuda Convertible. So, and of course the shaker here and the Hemi and the gold carburetors and all this stuff. I didn't add any extra detail to this one, you know, the interior and whatnot. I do have a video of this particular build. So we'll set this aside and we'll start comparing the two. But going with this one, of course, the box art, you know, got the car on there with Don Johnson, and then one of the real cars from the show. So a lot of cool stuff here. But there's pretty much the same box art that's on that one. And, you know, you can see the Hemi, all of this stuff, the dash, the standard cluster, and then the car as it sits there. So pretty cool to see all this stuff. And I'll move on to this one because really not much difference in the box art. Still, it's funny because it's still skill level 2 and 124 scale in 2003. So they kind of went back and forth on 2000. I'm not sure exactly what year they switched from the scales, but yeah, it kind of jumped right away. But then there's the build-up pictures that they provided. And the symbol box. Both of these, I believe, are sealed. Yeah. So one of the differences, which really isn't no differences. So let's, we'll do the plastic here in a little bit. But I wanted to show you, you know, the instructions, just the wording, and, you know, they changed. This one just says 71 Cuda. Doesn't even say convertible. Talks about, it's very general about the Cuda 2. It's kind of funny because it mentions the 70 Cuda and whatnot. But this one's Nash bridges, and it talks about Nash bridges in the kind of the show. So there's those. The decal sheets, pretty much the exact same decal sheet. Let's get this. This one I actually have two, because one was damaged and I had a spare through it in there. But making two work, because you can see gauges up here are damaged, but these ones are good. But this is damaged down here. That gives you an idea. It's funny because both of these are from this version. Got the kit number, and it says at the very bottom, 71 Hemi Cuda Convertible. It has the same plates and all the same decals up here. So this one, instead of the plates being here, they're up here, and you got the tire lettering, which is not on this one. But all the rest of the decals are exactly the exact same plates, and the billboards. And it says Nash Bridges 71 Hemi Cuda. So these decals actually say Nash Bridges on them, where that one does not. Tires wise, this one's got the plain ones. And I believe this one's the same way. Yeah, plain tires. So both sets have the same plain tires. And we'll move this one aside. We'll focus on this one because other than that, they're exactly the same. So there's the chrome tree with the, you know, the bumpers, Hemi valve covers, all the same stuff. So there's nothing special about this one convertible wise. So got the stock rally wheels up there. And then this bag, let's open it up here. Where are the windows? Oh, they're in the bottom here. Okay, well those are kind of falling off, so I'll use this one. So there's the convertible windshield with wipers, which is kind of nice. You know, the coupe doesn't have wipers, but they're molded right in there. And then the 4 headlight lenses, which the detail on these headlight lenses are much nicer than the coupe one. But they did a nice job on this one, but still has the same mounting peg system. But the glass on this one is much nicer, but very specific to the convertible. Rest of it here. Of course, here's that convertible body with the brace and the tub. So they reworked the body for the convertible, but they didn't add any of the extra detail, the shock towers or anything on the firewall. So nothing's really been done to add extra detail. They did put a spot in there to help you locate where the mirrors go now, the marker lights. So some of the engraving on the body is much nicer and crisper back here too. So, and then all the moldings here and the windshield. And this frame is actually pretty thick and robust. So the glass fits in there nicely and has a mount in there for the inside rearview mirror. So a lot of good stuff on this body. Here we've got the same non-rally dash, rear valance, Hemi engine with manual tranny heads, and then of course the front end. Nothing changed on that. And I believe they're completely interchangeable. But here's the whole new interior tub here with the back seat and everything. So here we go. Builds up with a nice interior tub. Still uses the same front seats. I think they were modified just a little bit. But there's the front seats, rear seats, mirrors, steering wheel, wheel backs, all the rest of these parts here. And then, you know, the chassis plate here with the same molded in exhaust and everything. All of that is still on that. And we've got this tree completely unchanged. Same brake booster, all the same suspension, exhaust, manifolds, and all of that stuff. And then here we've got the the hood, the shaker, the rear wing. Every now and then somebody asks if the convertible kit has a rear wing. It does. Here's the door panels and the convertible boot. So this one, much nicer interior, and the interior's all been updated. And let's take one of those other kits and just compare real quick on the front seats. So this is one of the Coupes trees, and no, the front seats are exactly the same. So those haven't been changed at all. So I was kind of curious about that. All right, so that does it for the convertible kit here. So we'll get this all packaged up, and then I'll do a quick summary. All right, so there you have it on what Revell Monogram had offered on these cars. And why so many? It's just you can build them so many different ways, and I enjoy them. Yeah, sure, they're lacking a little bit in some detail areas. They still build up really nice, look really good, great for your collection, and you can add extra detail to them if you want to. So, with that said, that's why, others I've done, like this one, I turned this one into a 70, which is why I didn't quite get too much into it. But, I'd left the interior alone, which the interior is actually a bit more like a 70 than a 71. So I did some things to this one to build it as a 70. And same thing with the other two convertibles. Here's my first 70 Cuda convertible. All right. Now, I used some resin parts that used to be available many, many decades ago from MPB Detail Products. And then I made a couple of molds and cast more of them. But I had two kits from way back then. So that's why, these are the way they are. And then the more recent one on the channel, a few years back, I built another Hemi Cuda convertible from one of the convertible kits I had, using another one of those kits and just making it nicer. Except for since the Revell kit had come out, I used the rocker moldings from the Revell kit and taillights from the Revell kit instead of what I had before, just to dress it up just a little bit nicer. So that's what these ended up being. And that's kind of the same thing with this one. I want to make a 70 446 pack convertible, and then another 71 446 pack convertible. So I want to do two of those. The rest of them are spares just because I find them and, just pick them up pretty much cheap when I'm not looking for them. And then let's move this stuff back and kind of get it, give myself a little bit more space here. So the obvious question I get asked quite a bit, how does that body compare to, the others that are out there? Well, I do have Johan, which is the tester's box, but that's the 71 Cuda as well. Now, this is a race car, okay? Couple of things. It does not have the fender vents. You can't really build it stock. Proportion-wise, it's pretty good, but a lot of sink marks right here in the back. And here's the grill set up in there. Here's the chrome wheels, keystones. If you want to build a race car, this is the one to find. They're kind of getting up there as well, but there's a number of sink marks, but still, it's a decent body. It needs some work, but this one is not perfect either. But if you want to build a stock Hemi Cuda, this one's pretty good. But if you really want to, you could go with this one as well. So this is a pretty nice, and you can see the size difference between the two right here. And then of course, its chassis is a race chassis, very basic. And the interior tub on this, very basic. It's a race car, no back seat, no stock front seats. Kind of has a stock dash, but not much of one. So, and then the other one, get this off to the side here. The MPC, which I don't have a mint one. I do and I don't. This one's kind of one of the bodies. It's one of the rebuilders, so I got this one. And I do have one more. This one's a bit more of the stock components to rebuild it. There's the shaker, the bumpers, all the stuff to build it. A lot of the race car parts as well. And fairly nice. So I'll use this one for the comparison here. Let me get this one unwrapped. Boy, I wrapped the heck out of this one, didn't I? But this one, now the MPC, it's a very nice body. This one's a little warped on the side here, pushed out, but all right, but a very nice body and a very nice grill and front end assembly. All right, so that all looks good. The shaker is a really nice shaker hood right here. It's a very nice shaker hood, and the shaker bubble is decent. That's where all the strong points come. It's a decent interior, but when it comes to the rest of it, you know, the interior I mentioned is pretty nice. Then just try not to mix up these bags here. It's got the rally dash in it, which is nice. If you can see that. There we go. It's got a nice dash, a rally dash and everything, which that's pretty nice. So pretty nice interior, pretty nice body. But the chassis, that's where it kind of does the same thing. All molded in, all this. Now this one does come with a Hemi engine, but it's a single 4-barrel. So it's kind of funny. So the engine is very lacking, but once you put the shaker on it, you kind of can't tell. But that's, you know, depending on how you want to build it. So, but then again, finding one of these, that's what the biggest issue now is. You can spend some serious money buying one of these. You can see how much that side is warped. So that's going to need some help there. So what I should do, I'll probably do it to this one now, is I'll wrap it with rubber bands and let it store it so it'll pull it in. But these will eventually get built. They're just kind of in my stash. But this is the one I kind of started. I didn't have the actual chassis, so I was going to use this one, kind of kit bash it, maybe go with that. But since Revell came out with the new 70 kits, thought maybe I'll try and combine one of those into one of these. So who knows, but since Revell came out with that nice 70 Sox and Martin, the stock Hemi Cuda and the AAR Cuda, that maybe I'll combine one of those in with one of these. Don't really know yet, haven't been motivated to do that part yet. But anyways, you guys, that'll complete it for this video, and I hope that answers some of your questions and shows you some of this stuff, because it's pretty cool stuff, but piling up on me. But anyways, you guys, thank you for tuning in, subscribing, and all your comments and everything. I really do appreciate it. You have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you next time.